This is the cold start video for the 1967 Volkswagen Karmann Ghia. If you'd like to start her up, please. We're going to give that a couple of gentle revs. And again. Just going for a little drive in Anna's 1967 Volkswagen Karmann Ghia. And in terms of the steering, how would you describe it? Is any sort of any wobbles or anything at all?
The steering is not wobbly, no.
Yeah.
It's very, very steady.
And there's no play in there at all.
There really isn't, and I'm used to driving, as well as a very modern car. I'm used to driving a T2 Volkswagen where there's a lot of play.
Yeah.
So this is kind of somewhere in between. It's in between a power steering, very modern BMW i3, and it's far away from the bay.
And how does the clutch feel to you?
The clutch feel, let me just do. The clutch feels good. The clutch feels smooth,
yeah.
really, really smooth. Yeah, it feels really. The clutch feels fine. So I like driving barefoot. So.
That's fine. And so obviously the gear change as well. Is there any sort of notchiness? Is it quite how would you describe the gear change?
The gears are pretty smooth. Again, it's very on this car. It's very short. Not sure if that's the technical term.
Yeah,
but it's not a long distance.
Okay.
It's quite short. We're at traffic light, crouch end. Let me just avoid the hatching. What else? Let me see.
Car idles nice and sort of quite smoothly as well. There's no signs of it stalling.
Oh, police car. No, not at all. No, it's not threatening to. Even though it must have been quite cold.
And the rudimentary controls there. I mean, obviously we can't see anything like oil pressure or water temperature because it's obviously an air-cooled car, but everything seems to be in order.
Yes. Ooh. Yeah, the steering is lovely actually.
Did you get much opportunity to drive it on sort of longer journeys, sort of dual carriageways and stuff?
I used to, yeah. When it was my main car,
yeah,
years ago, I drove it everywhere. I drove it absolutely everywhere. I would drive it down to South London where my mother lives.
Yeah.
I do local journeys. It's not that long. I mean, it's longer than like my i3, but it's not that long. So in terms of parking in London, it's actually okay.
But you can see all four corners as well, can't you? So,
you can, yeah. I remember when I first got into it in 2006. I remember feeling like it was very kind of big from the outside, but once you get in, you don't feel cramped because you can actually reach the other side. There's neither a big nor a small car.
The visibility is absolutely superb as well. You know, you can see absolutely everything. You don't feel claustrophobic at all, do you? In any respects.
No.
And in terms of, I mean, presumably, obviously, the car's been in Nigel's storage for, would you say, is it 3 years?
3 years,
3 years, so, but we can assume that everything works electronically and in terms of the dashboard as well.
Yes.
And the engine started up without any problems this morning in the cold start video. And there's no modifications on the car. Would you, I mean, in terms of like suspension and wheels and that, it's all pretty standard, isn't it? So, do you know much about the history of the car? Because it's a left-hand drive model, obviously. Do you know where it was imported from at all, by any chance?
It was imported from California.
Okay. That's always a good thing. So obviously it's...
in the late 60s. I mean, I'm not sure the exact date.
Yeah.
It was imported, but... or
That's
why
fine.
it was important then.
And do you know if the car was restored here or was it restored in the States?
We restored it.
Okay.
Over about 2 years.
Yeah.
This guy who is who's very into Karmann Ghia as a mechanic, who works on historical vehicles. He had it for at least 2 years, and he did the interior.
Okay.
This cherry red.
Yeah.
It was called cherry red. He did that. And it's hardly really been driven that much since then on the ground. You know, since he did the restoration. I mean, it wasn't used as an everyday car from then onwards, really.
Of course, yeah.
Yes, I'm just looking at the interior, and it still looks really, really fresh.
It's really, I mean, it's
Really fresh.
nicely presented in here. It's quite nice because, you know, cars get to a certain age, they get a little tatty, so.
And I can get into third. I'm in third.
See if we can make it to fourth.
Oh, I don't know about that. There's speed limits here, you know.
Yeah, of course. It's 20s around here, isn't it?
20,
Yeah,
yeah.
of course. Good old London.
Yeah. Not everywhere. There's some 30s left. There's also a 40 on Bishop's Avenue. There's some 40s around.
Yeah.
We wanted to get it up to 40.
Well, I can't hear any knocking noises. Obviously, there's loads of sort of speed ramps and stuff like that. And as the car goes over the ruts and the bumps, there's no knocking. There's no sort of squishing noises. So it's all pretty good. Obviously, the maintenance side of it has been well cared and well taken care of, which is great.
Bit of a hill start there.
Yep, it's good. So it's we've got a bit of clutch control as well. The brakes seem reassuring as well. They're quite effective, presumably.
Very. Yeah, they're not spongy, which again I'm comparing with my VW Bay camper van.
Yeah.
That can get spongy.
They seem quite even as well. There's no kind of juddering or sort of fade or squeal. They seem sort of quite well distributed, which is always a good thing with an older car. Handbrake works as well, which is good.